From shamans to scientists, mediums to masterminds, cannabis to LSD. Spark joy, spark curiosity, and spark a joint. Because you're listening to Budding Mind. Budding Mind. Aloha, friends, and welcome to the Budding Mind podcast. I am Brooke Bergstaller, and today's guest is Stephanie Scarminach, aka Stephanie Somatics, who is an intuitive somatic healer. What does that mean? Well, she's going to tell us, but she teaches her clients how to communicate with and through their bodies to heal and find safety within their own physical form. And she's the real deal, people. I know because she's one of my best friends and I get to benefit from her wisdom quite often, probably too often. Steph doesn't just want to heal people, though. She wants to teach people how to heal themselves with a myriad of tools that she herself has mastered the use of. I am forever inspired by this incredible woman and the blessings she brings into my world and beyond. So let's dive in already. Steph, I love you. I love you so much.
I love you, Brooke. I'm so excited to be here. What a beautiful intro. Thank you so much for that. It feels like a treat and a gift to get to hear the way you see me, to hear your experience of me through your eyes. Such a precious gift. Thank you.
Wow, you already sound like a professional.
I hope so.
I also liked at the end of the intro, I said, I love you. And I was waiting. I was like staring at you, like, say it back. Say it back.
My favorite game to play. Who loves who more?
Okay. So obviously I just tried to describe somatic psychology or healing in my words, and I probably butchered it in some ways. So can you share with us, for people who don't know, what the heck this really is?
Absolutely. I think it's a great place to start. So somatic psychology as a larger topic is really the blend of human understanding with the internal experience of what it means to be a human. This is the bridge between our intuition and the sciencey psycho mumble jumble babble. This field can really give us something for everyone, which is what I love about it, because again, it speaks to our experience as a human rather than your unique trauma, problems, fears, overwhelms, and really gives us language to dance back and forth between trusting ourselves and understanding why we would trust ourselves. So somatic healing, what I offer, what I facilitate with folks is has a little bit of my own flavor, a little bit of my own intuition and the way I show up with folks. So what I offer, what I lead folks through is how to listen to your body, how to tune into your internal experiences to overcome past traumas, heal your present discomforts, uncouple from unhealthy coping mechanisms, patterns, things like that. And we're really always coming back to using the body as a tool. The body is our home base. And a lot of my own philosophy in this work is not that I am the end all be all, I have all the information, but rather I'm showing up to demonstrate, to show you that I already trust your body. I'm going to follow your body through this work because your body knows exactly where we need to go.
Oh my gosh, you're going to make me cry, because you've also said things like this to me in the past about, I trust you. I know you can do that. So how does that make you feel, knowing an outside source knows that you got this? But on somatics. So my brain automatically goes to, okay, so somatics that means movement, that means dance, that means like physical activity, but that's not it, right? Like there's also tapping into somatic healing through your senses, through how are you feeling? Where do you feel this emotion in your body? And maybe it's like, I feel it in my arm, but sometimes it's like, I feel it in my kidney. I feel it in like a more loose, kind of abstract manner. Is that right?
Absolutely spot on. And you're speaking to the range that somatics has. It is also dance, expression, movement, screaming, punching a pillow, all of that. If you're engaging with your body, you're doing it somatically. So when we break down the word somatic, soma is body in Latin. And so you as a human have a body, regardless of your able-bodiedness, you have one. You came through onto earth with a body, and your body has so much information. It is, a subjective participant in your life, not objective. And this is really like the key turning point. If your body is a subjective participant, it's been subjected to your life with you. And that means it would have an opinion about what it's been subjected to.
Whoa.
And if it has that opinion, why wouldn't we ask what it thinks about what we've been through? Why wouldn't we bring it online, invite it to the table? If we're wanting to understand ourselves, why would we discount our entire vessel? The idea that our brain is the gold mine of psychology, your brain is in the top 10% of your body, and the logical cognitive part of it is the youngest part of your brain. And that part only takes up about 30%. And so it's not the predominant piece, but culturally and individually, we place that as the big cajon, right? We say that's the one. If my brain gets it, then the information's true. But if my body is telling me something different, I discard that. That can't be real. It's not the same.
Wow. And this is such an interesting segue for people. Obviously, there's many humans who are resistant to therapy for whatever reason, but it sounds like somatics is a beautiful entry point for someone who might have more difficulty revisiting memories or even using words to verbalize an experience they're working through, and kind of skip that step, or your body is the bridge to you being able to process things.
Absolutely. I love that phrasing. Your body is the bridge to processing, because in somatics, I don't need to know what happened. I need to know how it felt when it happened.
Whoa.
And that is very different.
Holy smokes. That's so beautiful. So, I know what you do for work, but I've never had this thorough of a breakdown. And so I really do appreciate it. I am learning so much. So why would someone specifically want to come work with you or someone in the somatic field? What's different about maybe that approach than if someone went to a traditional clinical psychologist?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and really important for people to understand. This is just a type of modality. This isn't the best or most magical. For me, it is. I'm obviously very biased. But this is, the folks that I work with are people who have come to a place of understanding that something different is happening in their body than is happening in their brain. It might be a panic attack where your body is having a full, visceral experience, and your brain is going, what are you doing? There's nothing wrong. And I know I've had that experience, and I can't tell you how many clients come to me and they're like, oh my gosh, you're telling me my body can be having a totally different reality than my brain? Absolutely. It not even absolutely. It's not something I decided or confirmed. That it is. I see the evidence every day. I feel the evidence every day. And that is, really because our body is experiencing the world from a nonverbal place. And our nonverbal communication is 80%. It's 80% of our communication. That's a huge amount. And again, so wild that we just discount all of this information and go, well, if I didn't cognitively conceptualize it, then it can't be real. So people that come to work with me have realized their body is a part of the system, but they're not sure what to do with that. we hear phrases like trust your gut or follow your intuition, which is lovely advice. But the how in that can be so ambiguous and murky, especially if the experiences you're having in your body make your body feel unsafe. Panic attacks, tricky food relationships, feeling numb, anxiety, depression, so many different things. Our body is not necessarily always the safest place to be. And that makes it really difficult to follow your body as the leader. So what I do is I essentially guide folks back into their body, teach them tools to relate to their body, to communicate with their body. The phrase I like to say is, I want to teach you to be able to pick up the phone when your body calls.
Oh, there's a Stephism if I've ever heard one. Wow. I hope that one day you make like one of those little books, just like 50 pages. Every page has a quote by you. I keep it by my toilet for when I don't want to look at my phone while I'm taking a duty. You know what I mean? That's exactly the book that I want from you.
Love it.
Well,
good. I'll make a note.
So you were talking about panic attacks, and I'm particularly interested in exploring panic attacks because I unfortunately experience them from time to time. And as you were speaking, before you mentioned it, I was like, oh, is that disconnect of body-mind relevant to a panic attack? Because I had an experience quite recently that totally took me off my rocker, and it felt like the physiological experience was so real and happening to me. And yet my mind, my brain was asking, why is this happening? It wasn't necessarily part of the conversation. Like there was a huge disconnect between, my mental state and my body itself. So I'm curious if you might be able to dive deeper into what you believe might be the origin of panic attacks, or how you guide people into better understanding them. Not that I know that, I don't know if we can fix them in our lifetime. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I want to work backwards through that. There's a lot of little pieces you spoke to. And this ending one, how do we fix it? Can we fix it? Is that possible? I'm not so concerned with that.
Oh, I knew I was going to get a free therapy session.
That's not on my goal list at all. I'm not here to fix it. And the idea that we should fix ourselves actually is, it reminds me of a Pema Chodron teaching that any attempt to change ourselves is coming not from a place of self-love, because if we truly loved ourselves, we would accept ourselves just as we are. And that's really more of my philosophy in this. I don't think I need to fix you. I don't think you need to fix you. But rather, how can I help you find a sense of peace, a sense of support, a sense of capability for when things come up that are big, scary, confusing, overwhelming? So this next piece you've touched on, what are panic attacks? What's happening there? Leads us to the conversation about the way that the body holds memory and the reality that the body is interpreting. So your body, again, is that 80% nonverbal communication. There are two types of neurons in our body that run information: afferent and efferent. And the one that has incoming information is also on an 80-20 split, 80% to 20%. The outgoing information is only 20%. So we're taking in so much information, and you have those receiving receptors all over your body. Your whole being is covered in them. That's the neuron. When you touch something hot, it sends a message: that's hot, don't touch it. Sends back, lift your hand. And there's so many more receiving, giving that information. So because your body is constantly receiving information, it's also storing it away to remember. We categorize. That's how we learn how to survive in the world. We remember all these little bits and pieces. And in particular, when we are first learning to human as kids, we are receiving our blueprint, our map for how to be a human. And all of those things that we're receiving from our external world, we put into our blueprint. And those then become visceral, tangible memories in our body that we can access through somatic work by tuning in and listening. And the skill, the muscle that we use to do that is called interoception. And that is similar to proprioception, which is how if I can't see my arm and I move it, I know it's moving, even though it's not touching anything. I have that sense in my body. I can sense that part of myself. So interoception is that ability on the inside, internal.
Wow.
Yes, we love fun science words. Okay. So we're receiving information, and I can sense that information with this cool muscle. And when there's something in my surrounding world that feels familiar or reminds my body of something that it knows on from my blueprint, my body goes, oh, I know exactly what this is. And I know just how to respond. Typically, when we're kids and something is so overwhelming and big, we don't know what to do with that feeling. And so we dissociate, we numb, we have a tantrum, or we hold it inside, we just lock it in for later. And then years later down the line, we're standing in the kitchen and we're looking at our partner going, why am I throwing things? And this is a story about me.
Wow. Love a revealing moment.
And it's because my body is taking in the information from my surrounding environment and saying, I know what's happening right now. And it turns on all of these different signals because this feels familiar, even if it's not what is actually happening. And this is where like the reality between my body and my brain can be different. My brain can say, Stephanie, you're an adult, you're fine. Let's take a look around. You're okay. But my body is going, oh my effing Lord, we are not okay. And that's this disconnect you're talking about, this separation. And when we are in that space of like full turned panic, fight, flight mode, your logical brain actually shuts down. When your fight, flight response is firing, the other side is not on. It's not even like slowly operating. It is turned off. And so the voice that you're hearing in your head, why are you doing this? What's going on? Is actually probably the inner critic that you adopted from your caregivers earlier in life. The way you saw them speak about themselves to others, to you, when there was a big feeling. What are you doing? Get yourself together. This is so embarrassing. All of those are actually stories that go along with this blueprint. And so what we can do to kind of, okay, so we understand what's happening. And now we're like, okay, what do we do with this information, right? And the first thing I always do with my clients, with myself, with my friends, is pause, is take a big breath, because whoa, there's something happening right now. Even right now, as we talk about it, I feel that. I feel that like rev, that like high vibration quiver through your system. I feel that right now. And that's a body memory. That's how we tap into those when we talk about them, when we revisit them. It's there. It's not gone. That was my experience. It lives in me. So what do I do about that? How do I change that? How do I help hold it better? I pause. I recognize that something's happening. And then I get to choose how I want to respond to that part. And the pause in the breath is how we turn back on the other part of our brain. If we can't stop and pause, if we can't get that like second to recalibrate, we're in the automatic response system. Things are just firing. But when we can stop, when we can slow down, we have more efficacy, we have more choice. And I can say, oh, how would I want to take care of somebody who was having that experience? And we really personify the body almost like it's a separate individual. And this is also where we see the ability to do inner child work and reparenting come in. How do I want to respond to this person? Not necessarily in the way that my caregivers did. And there's the work. But again, I'm not fixing the panic attack. I'm not changing the fact that I, so to speak, lost my marbles. I'm probably going to lose them again. But if I can practice this pause and breathe and choose pattern frequently, what I do is I rewire my brain. And this is a lot of information. So please let me know.
No, it's so
let me know if
epic.
I need to slow down. Okay, so I can rewire my brain. And we do that by letting ourselves be activated. It's going to happen. You're a human in a human world, and it's wild out there. You're going to get activated. And then if you can regulate yourself back into, oh, I'm here. I'm okay. I understand. Yeah, that was triggering. That was a lot. The pattern, the frequency of that is how we rewire. We make that active choice. And it's kind of like, did you ever play like marbles as a kid?
Oh, yeah, sure. Did I?
So sure, but imagine it like rolling a marble down the same little line every single day. It's going to make a little groove. And then without even having to decide which way the marble goes, if I just put it right on that same spot, it's going to take this path. And so rewiring ourselves is very actively having to create a new path for that marble. Every time we have to go, no, we're going to go this way. We're going to go this way, because that other groove is nice and deep. It's firm. It's there. And the choice, the pause, oh, it's happening moment, that's what gives me the choice to take the other path. And the more we do that, the more we run that groove, the more we get to change the way we respond and react, so that when that panic attack has a tiny little hint, you can see it further away. You have tools to meet it faster. You can do the reparenting things, no problem, because you know exactly what to do now.
Holy smokes. I knew you were smart, but that was quite the download. That was a TED Talk on panic attacks, which I personally deeply appreciate. And I hope someone listening does as well. I absolutely, of course, agree with and love the notion of finding that pause in the midst of it. And I think, at least from personal experience, it's also not blowing past the pause, having the desire to create a new pathway. And when you get that glimmer of information, you see the panic coming, or you're in the midst of it and something says, hey, why don't you take a breath? Actually listening to that and not allowing yourself to be totally overcome. I mean, it's a difficult, panic attacks are very difficult and intriguing and complicated experience. But yeah, if there's any crack of a door that your brain or body is giving you to slow it down, then dear Lord, let's listen to Steph. Let's create new neural pathways, because she said it should be easy. No, she never said it should be easy. I would also like to commend you, and it totally makes sense because this is literally what you do, but your act of listening is so potent. It's so beautiful. I asked you a question with like 3 bullet points and a million different fragments moving in opposite directions. And you were like, okay, let me pull these strings together. Let me hit them one by one. And I remember everything you said so perfectly wrapped up. So just acknowledging that. Is it difficult for you ever to like have to always be in this place of listening?
A really good question. I don't know that I've been asked that from this standpoint before. I think it would feel harder to be in the place of listening if I didn't also have people who listened to me.
Yeah.
Yes. And that I do notice that one. If I haven't connected, if I don't feel heard by my community, by my coaches, my friends, I feel a little more done at the end of the day.
Do you have any rituals for cleansing? I mean, you're absorbing so much energy and so much information from people, and I'm not trying to, like, yes, of course your line of work is difficult. I know that you know how to manage it, but how do you manage it? Like, do you have an end of the day after talking to 5 clients? You have some kind of energetic wash you do, or is it just natural? You just incorporate whatever's coming and you get through the day, no problem.
Yeah, it's changed over time depending on how sensitive my system is, how big my own personal container is. The way I like to describe it sometimes is like one of those Tupperwares that we use for lunch that have little divots for all the little things in them. And that when my own personal stuff is needing to take up more of those, I have to more actively prepare and do a ritual to go sit and listen, and then do another ritual to leave behind and not take home. The other edge, really is that this this role, this position that I hold for folks is less about the act of healing them or the teaching, and more about authentically relating and showing up. And because of that, I am going to be triggered by my clients. Their stuff is going to bring up my stuff. And in the field, we call that countertransference. When you're talking about your boss and he said this, and that, and so, whatever the story was, and I have a personal experience with a boss or somebody in a position of power who did something similar to that, and I really didn't like that. And I'm going to start to have my own feelings about, well, here's what Brooke should do. She should go back there. She should tell him what she thinks. And that might not actually be what Brooke needs to do. That was something that Stephanie needed to do, and Stephanie needs to examine. And if anything, this practice of showing up for others for me is a constant invitation to, I wonder why you feel that way, Stephanie. Why do you think that's what they should do? And it is, an internal reflection process as well. The other thing that's really helped me as I've grown in this field, I've been doing this in different capacities for, oh my gosh, probably 7 years now. The way I like to think about it is you are going to bring your puzzle of your life, and you're going to bring it into our space, and you're going to dump it out on the floor here together. And we're going to look for corner pieces today. And then we'll look for some orange pieces. Next week we'll look for some blue pieces. But at the end of our time together, I'm going to help you put your puzzle back in the box, and you are going to take that with you. That puzzle doesn't actually stay with me.
Oh, wow. I mean, we love an impeccable analogy. Thank you for that. Gorgeousness. Just sharing like my own stuff. Maybe I've shared this with you before, but I used to teach yoga, and at the end of a class, I would feel a bit drained. And you're touching people, so you're having some kind of energetic exchange. And I had a teacher share with me that at the end of all of his classes, he'll get down on the floor and take his hands and just put them onto the wood, or he'll find wood and he'll just give it back, give whatever he took on, just give it back somehow. And, whether it's you have the mental capacity to find the separateness from your clients to self, or you need a literal thing to do, so it goes. Also, what I really want to know, Stephanie Scarminach, is What made you go down this immense path of, like, this is a life path. This is your life's work. And I would say from a millennial perspective, I'm a multi-hyphenate and I never know what the fuck I'm going to do from one day to the next, and things always bob and weave, and that's cool. Also, knowing what the fuck you're here to do on this planet and actively pursuing it every day and contributing is like mind-blowingly beautiful. So when did that light bulb first go off in you that this is what you wanted to do with your life? And yeah, tell me about your journey to get here.
It really is so similar to so many millennials. I didn't have the tools. I had no clue. And because I had no clue, I was engaging in a lot of unhealthy life decisions. I was drinking a lot. I was making friends with people who were, kind, but
Ding dongs.
thin. Yeah, ding dongs. That's a clinical term we use in the field. And really, it was my mom who noticed and said, hey, this isn't setting you up to live a healthy life. These aren't healthy relationships. This isn't healthy behavior. And while at the time I was very hurt and very personally attacked to hear something like that, she helped me find a therapist, as a somatic therapist. And she was the first person to tell me, well, you're living completely dissociated. How could you tolerate the discomfort in your body when you're constantly outside of your body? And it was this light bulb moment of like, oh, that's a thing. This is a thing I've been feeling. It's not just me being like crazy off my rocker, like, oh my God, there's something for sure wrong with me. Because that was how it felt, was that like there was this part of me that was just intrinsically broken, and I was this monstrosity inside that was never going to be able to like authentically come out, because if people knew, they would run and hide. And this therapist was able to help me understand the way to use our body as our guiding light. This thing that I now literally preach from rooftops. Like this was it. And at the time I also was starting to do some artwork with a group called Tribal Markers. And their modality is a body paint marker that you use at events, gatherings, festivities, whatever, to adorn the person, to help that individual see themselves the way that you are seeing them. And so you are doing a lot of seeing that person's truth through all of the other junk. And that was what it really felt like this somatic therapist had also done for me. I see that you're going to be okay. I see your potential. I see your goodness. We just have to do a little decluttering, a little reorganizing. And Tribal Markers was really something parallel to that, but just with less tangibility. It was much more energetic, much more feely, much more flowy. And in that container, I've actually had a much harder time or a much slower time learning how to discharge or release at the end of a day. The somatic work, I do have a much easier time being like, okay, this is the boundary, this is the container, this is how I show up. But with the more energetic pieces, it is more challenging because I physically can't see the boundaries. The energetic stuff is ambiguous and floaty. So I was doing this work with Tribal Markers, and people were having these cathartic, life-changing experiences. Strangers were like crying in my arms, professing these stories about their children that I'd never met. And I was going back to my therapist saying, what is happening? What is something's going on? And she really helped me understand, well, you're doing for others what I'm doing for you. You're holding space. You're helping people feel seen. And in that space, in that format, I do feel full. I do feel purposeful. And my God, as a millennial, I can't tell you how grateful and relieved I am that I understand what that thing is, that I have found something that I feel purposeful with. Um, because I know that that can be this very looming idea of like, follow your passion. Like, I don't know what I'm passionate about. That's a hard question to answer. And so really I came to this work from my own need for it. And that's a big part of, the way I also teach is not that I'm at the end of the journey, but rather I am doing the work alongside you. I don't want to just talk the talk. I am actually very dedicated to also walking the walk.
Oh, and that oh, here's compliment corner for you, Steph. You're literally like you're my guru, but without the ego, which is impossible, honestly. Doesn't seem like it's possible. But being friends with Steph is you have definitely pushed and supported my growth and given me new perspectives and terminology to even interpret things from my own experience. And it's, I am certainly a recipient of your gifts, of which there are many, and I love you so much. And okay, now enough of the compliments. Enough compliments, Steph.
Yeah, I've had enough of those.
So obviously something that comes up, you mentioned it earlier, and it comes up, it's almost like an aside at this point in the realm of any kind of therapy, is blame it on your childhood. Well, what did your mom do to you? What did your dad do to you? What happened to you when you were a kid? Is it that simple? Like, is that really the root of all of our bullshit, or most of it? And is there any way to not fuck up a child? Or is that just inherent to
Wow.
the human experience?
Well said, Brooke. Part of our childhood is going to impact us regardless. This idea of like, I don't want to talk about my childhood in therapy. Well, that's a bummer. You should maybe try something else then, because that's where you learned how to be a human. And so now in your experience, being a human will be impacted by where you learned that. It's like if you had learned Spanish in school, like I did in California, it's going to be heavily influenced by the people around you that are speaking Spanish. And so then your accent later in life will be where you originated. And so my Spanish accent is a jumble of things and is a huge mess because I was influenced by all these different kinds of Spanish, all these different kinds of speakers. And it's not to play the blame game, but rather more to have an understanding so that if I'd like to have a different accent, if I'd like to learn some new language, I can do that. I can do that. But in order to do that, I have to know what part of my grammar is wrong. And to understand that, you kind of do have to go back to the basics.
Oh, another great analogy. And all I'm thinking of now is that my Spanish accent, like I want it to be proper from España. Like we need that little lift, Vicky Cristina Barcelona. Like that is the one for me. So you let me know who I need to see to get that going.
And that even within Spain, Brooke, there's Castellano. There is like small little regions that are going to have their own accents and dialects that, like, again, if you wanted to hone in on one particular thing, you would need to immerse yourself in that place. And isn't that what we're trying to do in our healing work, is immerse ourselves in where we're trying to go?
Oh my God, I think you're right. Holy shit. Oh. So as a somatic psychologist, so as a somatic psychologist, do you ever feel the need, since this is your profession, to be perfect or to be perceived as perfect? I feel like I already know the answer to this. You're certainly a throw spaghetti at the wall and see if it sticks kind of person, but even on social media, which is, you have a large presence and growing on Instagram and whatever other platforms, but yeah, does that affect you too, this image? the pressure of an image.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. A human in a human world, especially a female identified human, right? There's a different set of rules for us. And
you better be good at what you do and
y-
hot.
yes. And also never be sweaty, but if you do, it's supposed to be called glistening. And if you don't decide to have children, that's on you, not your partner. And if you also don't give up your career for your children, question mark, but also you gave up your career for your children, like it just is a mess. It's a mess, Brooke. And I 100% am navigating that mess with us. It's real. And I try my best to show up on social media and recognize the moments. Oh my gosh, here's a moment. I'm in my head about this. I'm telling myself I have to be this way. And the fear that, okay, it's on the internet now and we'll just have to see where it goes. Let's just hope people don't make your face into a meme. Like, the risk of just putting content out there always feels scary. I definitely have had to practice the idea of that's good enough. Just put it out. It's good enough. And the trick for me is the stupid inner work, just coming to terms with myself of like, okay, Stephanie, we're doing a thing. You have been editing the same reel for an hour now. Is this helpful right now? Like, what's going on here? And there's the pause. And then I get to choose what I do. And typically what I like to think I practice doing is, oh, I'm doing a thing. Okay, well, what's underneath the thing? Why are we doing this right now? Oh, I'm doing this because if I don't do this, then people will know that I'm not smart. And if they know I'm not smart, they won't listen to me. And if they don't listen to me, I can't help them. If I can't help them, I can't save the world. And if I can't save the world, then what is my purpose? It just, it just gently spirals down the drain.
Wait, I've heard that before. In here, in my brain.
It's so weirdly familiar up there because we all have it. It's a human part of us. And I saw something recently that said something about like mentally strong people, and I had like 7 things on that list, and it was like, don't second guess themselves, take calculated chances, and
make their bed in the morning.
I'd like to think I'd do that, but some days are better than others. But this idea that like, if you have self-doubt, you're not strong, or if you question your own motives, then you are wavering in the wind and not convicted enough. You're a human. Part of your natural system's rhythm is to go up and then to go down. It is not sustainable to be in a perpetual upward motion. Even something ridiculous like airplanes, they don't just go up and stay there. They come back down. That's the goal, is for us to come back to this like middle place. It's homeostasis, it's plants, it's nature. What your body is always trying to do is get you back to your home base, to homeostasis, to that middle area where you're okay now. And not that you're not uncomfortable there. You can be uncomfortable in your middle space, but it's tolerable. You're okay enough in your middle space.
Wow. A big permission slip, a big perspective shift on that one. Thank you for that. Totally. Of course, life is made up of cycles. The wheel of life spins round and round. And in a patriarchal society, we certainly believe that perfection is attainable and necessary in order to be X, fill in the blank of whatever that means for you, successful, loved, seen. And that's simply not the reality that any of us live in. And when we are at odds with that, that's when we go see people like you. Okay, so skirt, pivot, skirt. Let's talk psychedelics. Pew, 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 pew. So we're seeing the second wave, the new wave, psychedelic renaissance here. It is upon us. There are clinically licensed psychologists and therapists that are now able to administer the likes of psilocybin and ketamine and potentially other psychedelic medicines. What is happening at this moment in history? What are your thoughts on these new modalities springing up? And yeah, do you see any, well, I'll get to that. I'll get to the third part. I like to stack my questions.
Pack them in, lots of material. I love that there's something new because this is just another tool. The more we expand our project list, the more we're going to need nuanced tools. I'm not going to use a hammer every project because I don't need a hammer for every project. So I'm going to need a variety of options. And psychedelics is just another option. I think I see people getting wrapped up in this, like, this is the answer kind of approach, which I very much understand. I've seen that be pivotal for people. I've felt it be pivotal for myself. And just like every tool, if we're not using this in a way that's actually supportive to our project, then we might be accidentally hammering holes into our walls. And that said, I think this particular field of psychedelics pairs with the somatics so perfectly because both are very visceral. Both are not about the cognitive understanding, but the visceral understanding, the in my body, the interoceptive experience of what's going on. And so I mean, 5-star review for psychedelics. I think they're incredible. I think they have amazing powers. And we see, ketamine being used for depression and PTSD, and knowing facilitators who help folks through that. I'm hearing the hands-on accounts of those experiences, knowing people who've gone through ketamine treatments, watching that change happen and hearing for them, oh my gosh, it's like the breath of air I've been waiting to get for the last 5 years, for my whole life, whatever it is. Same thing with, MDMA was originally created as a couples therapy drug, and for damn good reason.
Oh my God. I didn't know that. I knew it was created as like a mental health stabilizer. Couples therapy makes people friggin' touch like they've never touched before. Rick, I finally see you the way that I saw you on our wedding day.
I mean, the experience of overwhelming love, that huge release of, hormones, that just the floodgates are open. Oh my God, I've never loved you this much. Of course, that was a couple's drug. Oh my God, the number of teenagers that are taking Molly and being like, this is my life partner. That makes so much sense. And, obviously those are different containers. But that is, I think, where the edge is for people. They hear about psychedelics being used by, whoever it is, and it's been cut with, it's been mixed, it's been used as a recreational experience. It's being done every single weekend in massive doses. Okay, now we've got the both and. Like everything else in life, the paradox of humaning, of being. Yeah, both are real. There are both sides. One says it can be used to rewire your PTSD. We can create that marble I was talking about using psychedelics. It helps you create that original path of the new route that you'd like to take instead. That's amazing. That's incredible. That's so freaking helpful, because for things like PTSD and depression, it robs you of your sense of hope. Trauma really narrows your window of vision. So the only thing you can see is the demise, the heaviness, the end. This is the experience of suicidality. I don't see anything else. I don't feel like I can even contemplate other options because my reality is just in this little window. Psychedelics blows the sides off of those blinders and it goes, look at all the things out here. And sometimes in an overwhelming manner. So amazing, beautiful, powerful. And yeah, this is going to have some like icky edges, some real messy parts, some, gray areas that do not resonate, that do not feel good. And that's okay. We just have to figure out how to sit with both and then pause and make our own choice.
Well freaking said. And at this moment in, I'm calling it the psychedelic renaissance today, I see, like a lot of things, the metaverse and the hippie. I see these technologies, and I believe plant medicines are a technology, creating a divide in some way, and not necessarily a negative divide, but as technology and VR and these interactive digital experiences in the metaverse start to grow and expand and become more available, and more people move in that direction of intensity, I see the polarity of that deepening as well, where people are so turned off by that, or it's so unfamiliar to them and inaccessible to them, that they move in a different direction and they go deeper into the earth, deeper into the trees, feet in the soil. Like, I want nothing to do with that. And perhaps that's not the best parallel to what I'm trying to say here, but when it comes to psychedelics, I see two strong movements. And this is similar to cannabis as well. There's like the wellness component that is so beautiful and grounded and exploratory and potentially life-changing. And simultaneously, there is a growing movement of like intense recreation and almost like party status of psychedelics. And I don't want to do this to find myself. Like, I want to trip. I want to get fucked up. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the recreational use of psychedelics, but I find just like the importance and the depth and the meaning, and perhaps that's just as I become an older woman as well, I side more with like one aspect of the usage of these plants. And so do you feel that way? Do you feel like psychedelics should only be relegated to this space of like professional usage under the guidance of someone who quote unquote knows what they're doing? Or do you think that there is still space and should still be space for people to have their own independent experiences?
What comes to mind when you ask that is just the experience I had working with teenagers in substance abuse, and the approach that I took with them is that it's actually not my place to decide for them. They're in charge of their life. They get to choose. So if you want to choose to get drugs and get sendy, like, send it. Go ahead, do the thing. I'm also going to highly recommend that you maybe look into what's in that drug before you take it. Maybe, think once or twice about where you're going to do that. Maybe set yourself up with some resources so that if things go poorly, you have the capacity to take care of yourself. And the big question that I really encouraged all of my teen clients to ask themselves, if and when they find themselves wanting to, send that psychedelic ride, why? Why? Tell me what about that appeals to you. And if you can come out of there honestly saying, Steph, I'm trying to get fucked up. Okay. As long as you know, as long as you are being honest with yourself about what you're doing, great, send it. Please be safe, but do your thing.
Totally.
I don't get to decide that. And if you are telling me that you are on a transcendent journey and, well, Steph, I was going to find myself in my bedroom by myself at 3 a.m. Okay, well, let's maybe look at that, shall we? Let's reel it in and ask a few more questions. And I think it's about being honest with ourselves. If you are genuinely looking to find yourself, amazing, look into this tool, look into it safely with a container, learn a little bit about it. But I'm not in charge of their lives. They are.
Shit. Shit, dude. Wow, spoken like a true older sister.
I do have to note, it was, I loved my time working with teens and substances, particularly because of that conversation. Sometimes I had, I would get such opposition because they're looking for me to say no. You're supposed to tell me who to be. You're supposed to tell me what the right thing to do is. You're not supposed to tell me I can do drugs. No? Okay. So why do you want me to say no? What's actually underneath that? Do you need me to resist? Do you need to create your own autonomy, your individuation? Do you find the need? There's so much unpacking that can happen in there. And I actually found day one, that was part of my spiel. I'm not here to tell you should never do drugs again. I actually don't care. You get to make your own life choices. I'm here to help you figure out why you want to do them, why you keep going back to them. And it's the same kind of energy when I work with folks, even though I don't work exclusively with teenagers and substance anymore, it's still the same idea. They're coming in and I'm saying, I'm not here to make any of your life decisions. I'm not here to tell you what to do about your problems. I'm here to help you figure out what you want to do about your problems. I'm here to help you figure out why we're calling them problems. We're here to look at the puzzle.
God damn. And you've officially taken on, like, you've got the Steph therapist voice right now with your arms crossed. Like, I am zoned in. I am absorbing whatever you say goes, boss. My God. But thank you. Thank you for that. And I think that's a beautiful face of the diamond of the way to look at that. And I appreciate that, because I think even bringing up that question, what I was really doing is expressing like a level of fear or concern around some people are going to do mushrooms and they're not going to know what they're doing and they're not going to like it and it's going to be bad for all of us. When really that is fucking up to them. And applying a level of awareness to everything that you do, everything you consume, the TV shows, the soaps that you use, the food that you use, the substances that you use. It doesn't really matter the why, but it's important that you investigate the why. Yeah.
Right.
Love that.
Right. And it really does release the control. I don't get to decide. I'm actually really done deciding for other people. It doesn't give them anything helpful. All it does is teach them that somebody else will figure it out for them. And well, a lot of us really look for that and wait for that. It doesn't build a sustainable practice.
It doesn't empower someone to stand on their own two legs.
Yes, I don't want to fish for you every day. I got my own fish to catch, but I will fish with you for a while and we can, put the line on the hook and we'll throw it in together and I'll show you how to reel the thing in. And then very slowly, I'm going to just scoot a little further down the dock and a little further down the dock. And then one day you won't even be looking for me.
I think that's the beautiful point of therapy or any modality of healing is it's not meant to be, while it may be a personal, lifelong journey, exploring many different roads to your own source of healing. The point is not, I work with you forever. Yeah. The point is like, I don't want to work with you for like more than a couple years at max. Cause if that's the case, then you have a stalker, not a client.
We've got some bigger conversations.
Okay. So for people that do want to work with you, everyone should want to work with you in a one-on-one capacity. Amazing. Yes. But you also have a very new and exciting offering coming out into the world soon. Can you tell me about the class that you're birthing?
I'm so excited about this class. And I recently, I've been building it. I've been working on it for a long time and really trying to figure out how to distill down the goodness and the like flavor of a one-on-one session into a recording and a worksheet. That's been a very interesting process to try to like transition and translate.
Totally.
I think is the way I want to describe that. So the class is 30 days to embodiment. And this is a step-by-step breakdown of how to pick up the phone when your body calls, how to know that your body is calling, how to be able to hear that ring. And then once you pick up, how do you answer? What are the steps that you want to go through? What do you do with that? So it is also, really created from a trauma-informed lens. And so there is so much good psychoeducation in there, the language, the verbiage, the concepts. We, will do the back and forth between the intuition and the science. And then how do you even define intuition? How do I find that in my body? All of that is in there. And it's made up of videos of me speaking to you, giving you that lesson, and then some more self-propelled activities like worksheets, journal prompts, and activities. This class is really meant to be about integrating the learning. I don't want you to just chew it up and then spit it back out like we did in school so much, right? We would memorize all these words for a test, and then you would regurgitate them on test A. And then I would never remember anything after that point because I didn't integrate it. I never used those again, right? And I don't want that to be this course. I want you to digest it. I want it to go through your whole system and then, leave it behind as you will. So the course is 30 days to embodiment. And I really created this course from a place of wanting my clients to have access to me all the time without me having to physically be in front of them, because I can't physically be with all of them at the same time. But with this course, I can. You get access to this course and then you always have access to it. Do it again, do it 100 times, rewatch day 5, rewatch day 30, as many times as you need to see me and hear me and feel, oh, that's what it was. Oh, she does know I can do it. You have that. Here it is. And again, distilling down the experience of being in a one-on-one session without the time commitment and frankly, the cash commitment. One-on-one sessions, like you said, can go for years. That's a lot. It's a lot of investment. And this is a one class, and then you always have access to it. You get to do it over and over again. And I love that. And when I was, really getting clear on who am I making this for? Why am I making it? I genuinely did have a very emotional sit down with myself where I thought about my clients. And a teacher of mine, when I was in grad school, had once shared this concept of falling in love with your clients. And from an ethical standpoint, we wouldn't want to do that.
I was going to say, is that a yes or no?
From an ethical standpoint, we wouldn't want to do that because that would be a huge boundary crossing. And that some of that idea is something that I really, really resonate with. I do care so deeply and fully about all my clients. I can think about all the people I've worked with, which feels like a crazy thing to be able to remember, but some of it is because I'm right here with you. And when I'm listening to you, I really do want to understand what you're saying. I really do want to figure this out with you. And that's the piece. That's why I made this class, is I want you to feel like somebody else really does want to understand. Somebody does want to be on this path with you. It can be so overwhelming to feel like your body is not on your side, to feel like you're fighting against it. That, I remember that. I still feel that sometimes. And to be able to take this understanding that I've learned this far in this field, helping myself, and to be able to like really package it down. I feel like it sounds so cliche, but this genuinely is like a gift from the heart. This was creative out of wanting to love my clients more.
That's no cliche. I know you fucking mean it. Are you kidding me? I'm so excited. I'm gonna take the class, by the way. I'm taking 30 days with Steph for when you don't respond to my text messages, which honestly is rare. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna rewatch day 18. Steph says she loves me. She's here with me. I'm good. I'm fine. Let me do this breathing exercise. When I first met you, I was so blown away by just your existence. And I asked you, can I work with you? And you said, no, I want to be your friend. And that's not to say that you don't love your clients, that your clients aren't your friends, but you were making a clear boundary that I don't want to talk to you during our allotted time. I want to be able to be free flowing and converse with you in all the different ways in which we do. You are like one of the most phenomenal, I feel like I've used that word so many times, but truly like a phenomenal friend. You teach me how to friend a lot of times just by the ways that you show up for me. And I'm wondering, yeah, like what does friendship mean to you? And how are your friends, how are we therapists to our own friends? And excuse me. Okay, I'll let you talk before I cough it out.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to get to talk about friending with you. That is just, love it. So excited because this is something that I feel so jazzed about. And I am going to use my old lady lingo there because it is crucial that we build a community of people who are able to see us when we can't see ourselves. And that for me has been the like choice part of developing healthy friendships in my adult years that I really, really, really struggled with as a teen, as a young adult. And it's hard to find friends who know how to show up. Not that they don't want to show up, but they don't know how to show up in the ways that we need them. Because for me, showing up as your friend in my mind is the easiest experience of my life. I show up and I just get to love you incredibly large amounts. And like, what a lucky duck I am to get to do that. And that doesn't mean that you and I don't fight, that you and I don't have disagreements. I know, heartbreaking, I'm crushed. Or that we, won't challenge each other. Because it really is this gentle rotation out of, okay, my friends I'm supposed to have unconditional love and they're only supposed to be fun and it's only supposed to make me happy. It's only supposed to make me whole. And how do I love you so much that I am willing to be in the discomfort with you? I'm willing to get uncomfortable because I love you. And that is a much harder edge to come around because that asks us to have to like come to terms with our own shit. And again, here's the example of sometimes it's about the friend, sometimes it's about the client, but here's my countertransference. I don't really want to bring that up because if I have to talk about it with Brooke, well, then it's going to hurt her feelings. And if I hurt Brooke's feelings, then I'm a bad friend. If I'm a bad friend, I'm a bad person. If I'm a bad person, then I can't tolerate that because my existence is a waste. Like there's the spiral, there's the drain. And so that means that I have to come to terms with my own sense of self-worth. Making Brooke feel sad or upset doesn't mean I'm a bad person. And what is it that I'm bringing up that might make Brooke sad or upset? Am I saying that because I want to maintain the relationship with her? Because I want to make sure that we actually are on the same page rather than just holding in like, oh, wow, she said that the other day. And like, can't fucking believe that. I'll just, whatever, it's not a big deal. I just won't ever bring it up again. And I'll just hold it inside until it ferments and rots and deteriorates and take away our entire friendship.
Oh my God.
A nice little fun spiral. And it's accountability and integrity on a harder level.
Yeah, for sure.
Because to show up for you, I have to show up for me. And if I want you to really show up for me, that means I need to trust that you are showing up for you. And I think that's what secure attachment is.
Everything that you're saying is so similar in a romantic relationship. I think sometimes we have an easier time being that way in a romantic partnership because we are less likely to walk away. But when it comes to friendships, when things get hard, it's a lot easier to say like, well, I don't have a house with this person. I don't share a dog with them. Like I haven't had sex with them 300 times. So like, I don't know, maybe I'll just let this fight fucking dissolve the entire relationship that we've created together. And I'm not saying I do that. And my friends, my nearest and dearest are really incredible at holding me accountable and encouraging that in me. But I have a tendency to be non-confrontational and not want to stir the pot, especially when it comes to friends. Don't want to fight, don't want to create conflict. And so what would be your advice to me in that reciprocity? How might I show up for others, hold them accountable, hold them to their word, gain a little confidence in, being that stability and strength for them?
That's a good question. And I think the theme of it is how do I be less of a people pleaser?
What? Steph, bitch.
And the funny thing about people pleasing is we tell ourselves, oh, I'm not going to get into that conflict because I don't want to hurt their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
That would be mean of me to say that to them.
I'm so embarrassed.
Ooh, girl, but it's something that we learn culturally as women in particular to not stir the pot. Some of that is like our families and our caregivers, and some of it is being taught how to be a woman in this culture. And if I am confrontational, fuck that bitch. Like she's so much like, oh my God, like Jesus, calm down. Like, oh, are you on your period? Like, even if I was, I would still get to be upset, and you don't get to minimize that. But the core, this concept of people pleasing, I don't want to get into the confrontation, but how do I hold them accountable? The slippery side of people pleasing is that when we say we're doing it for them, we're not. We're doing it for us. We're doing it because I can't tolerate the discomfort. And if, we take a look at our childhood blueprint,
blame it on
I might get
mom.
curious. My mom. No. Well, sometimes, but it really is just understanding where I learned this language. Who taught me how to have healthy confrontation? Where did I learn what that would look like? Am I going to be okay if that person gets angry or yells at me? All the potential responses that are going to come up. What if they say, how could you say that? I don't want to be your friend anymore. And they leave. Is it my abandonment wound? Like, what is it that could go wrong? What is it that I'm afraid will happen if I bring it up? And that thing I'm afraid will happen, is that familiar to my body? So is my body operating off of our old blueprint? And if it is, we can sit with that. We can pause and go, oh, this does kind of feel like when I was 7 and my mom yelled and I had to sit quietly and just wait for it to be over. Oh yeah, my body doesn't want that other person to yell, because if they yelled, that would be so overwhelming to my system. I can remember a time at work, there was a woman yelling at her boyfriend, and I was in the room and my whole body went into this like full freeze mode. full shutdown. And it wasn't even at me. It was like over there, they were yelling. But hearing a woman yell for my system was like, oh God, it's happening, it's happening, it's happening, it's happening.
What a trip.
And that's what I mean about like the body is our guide. If you get curious, oh, something's happening right now. Okay, what does it feel like? And does this feeling feel familiar? When was a significant time or the first time you remember feeling that way in your body? And that takes us back. There's the blueprint. So how to shift that people-pleasing piece, how to, hold your friends accountable, lovingly hold them accountable. I think it's the self-work, it's the self-reflection. And you don't have to do that overnight. You don't have to tomorrow, like sit down with all your friends. I mean, like, here's the way I hate you. Let's talk about it. Like,
I need to hop off. I have some calls to make. Know who you are.
It really is also this edge of, do I want to do the work for this relationship? And when you were saying it's easier for us to do that with our partners, that might be in your experience, because I think for some others, it's easier to do with their friends than with their partners. And we would get curious about why that is. And really at the root of it, again, is doing this work something you want to do for this relationship? Mm-hmm. And even if you don't end up bringing it up to them, the core relationship that we are doing that work for is the relationship with ourselves. And I'll drop my mic right there and just
throw the Yeti on the ground.
Bam.
I do have one final question for you, Steph. This is our signature budding mind cue. Is there something, I mean, you've shared a lot with us today, a lot of different avenues for mind and perspective expansion, but perhaps there is a tangible that you might be able, one more that you can share with our audience, whether it be a song or a poem that you read that has changed your mind, a trip to a different country, a philosophy or practice you learned about in school, something, a nugget for people to investigate further.
Wow. Which one do I pick? I think there's two that come to mind. Sound for me is a really huge resource, especially when my brain is way too loud and just having a full run. There is an artist that I find just kind of is able to take me with him in a way that my system always is craving. And so finding the sound for you that helps you feel like home, helps you feel excited, helps you feel like it's okay to be in your feelings, I think is a really, really crucial one.
But who's your artist?
Oh, the artist I'm thinking of is called Skysia, Skysia.
Love it. That's what I wanted.
And yes, and his work feels very synesthetic to me when I listen to it, which is synesthesia is when your senses intermingle, people who can like taste sound or see
sound,
flavor.
Just lots of
see sound. Yeah. Or hear flavor, things like that. His work feels very synesthetic to me, which for me, when I'm trying to access a feeling is really helpful because I am translating my senses. I am trying to take a sensation and pair it with words. And so having sounds that will help me get to those sensations and feelings has been really powerful and really helpful. And that he just has like a range of things, which I really enjoy. And then the other one that comes to mind is a tool, a practice that a teacher of mine taught back when I was studying in school, for how to create some sense of shift in relationships that are the most challenging for you, with the people that trigger you just beyond reason. And that activity is to imagine them in the room with you as a child. And then in their child form, shrink them down to a teeny, like a card-sized being. And just stay. Just feel what it feels like to see them that way. You don't have to like them. You don't have to forgive them. But practice making them smaller and knowing what it feels like in your body when they're smaller, when they are less threatening, when they have less power over you. Again, it doesn't fix the relationship. But for me, I've had that be an incredible tool in my personal work, feeling triggered every time someone mentions their name or someone talks about a thing that, crosses into that part of my life. The sitting with the muscle memory of, oh, that person is small and non-threatening, I think is a really, really big resource that I've found in challenging relationships.
I love that. And it sounds like that practice would also perhaps stimulate some compassion towards the smaller version of the adverse character. Look at my lighting. This is insane.
Very dramatic.
Wow. All right, Stephanie Somatics. Can you share with our beloved humans listening where they might find you, how they might work with you, and where they can find out about your class?
Yes, absolutely. So the easy way is just on the website, stephaniesomatics.com. All the material is on there. My team and I are accepting clients right now. And so if you've been waiting to do that work, we are here. We would love to do it with you. And this class, again, is also on the website, but I get to show up more authentically and more frequently on Instagram for those of you who are social media users. And the handle is Stephanie Somatics. Somatics ends with an S. And I do respond to quite a few DMs and engagements and comments. If you have questions about this work and you're curious, there's contact forms on my website, but you're also welcome to send me a DM. I love this work and would be happy to share about it with you.
Hell yeah. That's a follow if I've ever heard one. Steph, thank you for a million things. Thank you for existing. Thank you for being my friend. Thank you for your time today. I love you so much.
Thank you, Brooke. I love you.